we observe the field for imagery node to be activated or active also in individuals with aphantasia. So we don't see any difference in activation if you look at that region between typical imagers and individual with aphantasia. But what we saw, and that is one of the key findings that led to what I told you earlier, we saw that the fin seems to be disconnected from that frontoparietal network I mentioned earlier. So it seems that the fin and these regions of the brain that are important for task positive do something, Alfredo. I'm asking you to do it. It seems that the connectivity, meaning the synchronization between the signals coming from these two hubs, two regions, two networks, is lower in individual with aphantasia than in typical imagers. And that, again, opens up to this 20 years of more studies investigating. So is aphantasia just lower connectivity between regions, between these regions that have to do with the visual system or activating the visual system? And that could explain some of the patterns that we observe, right?
Yeah, very fascinating because it helps move beyond just the subjective. One of the criticisms of aphantasia in general is that it's you fill it out in a survey and like, is this something real? But we can actually measure that there are differences in the connectivity between these two regions. And what else is interesting is that the fin is active for those with aphantasia. So perhaps the representation or that imaginative component is still active. And so very, very interesting findings and helps make it more real than imaginary,
Right.
no pun intended.
Absolutely. So just let me just say one extra thing, which is like, yeah, the fin is active. And then the question comes, I don't want to make this too technical, but then the question becomes, okay, so the fin is active. Whatever the fin is doing as a region is being processed. So is it not going somewhere? Is it like it starts to it allows us to start identifying the steps of what it takes to imagine something, right? So maybe that, as you said, there's a representations, that content that is in the fin is active and is not being sent out to other regions, right? So that will explain even more so. I find the debate about subjective versus objective visual mental imagery reports or skills or ability to be fascinating because the let's say the disconnection between subjective feelings of cognition, of cognitive functions, and objective feelings are at the center of many research fields. This is something that we need more hands on and more people working on this part. Because if you ask even people working with individuals that have all sorts of brain lesions outside perception, right? There often is a disconnect between what they report they think they're able to do or they think they're not able to do and how they actually perform at our experiments. There are people that say I can't see things, and then if you ask them, okay, but I'm putting two things in front of you, what do you guess? They're actually right. They're like, okay, I'll guess a yellow banana, and you're like, what you just told me you can't see. And there's the opposite case too. People that say they can see things, but yeah, you're wearing a yellow scarf and you're not. So there is a gigantic aspect. This has to do with neuroscience of consciousness. There is a lot that needs to be done and understood, and the disconnect between subjective feelings of something and objective performance, right? And just more work for anyone tuned in. We need your help.
Yeah, more, always more work to do.